Hello, welcome to Your Academy. At Your Academy, we have been dealing with the general prologue by Geoffrey Chaucer. We have dealt with a number of portraits from the general prologue, and today in this lecture, we will deal with the portrait of the shipman or the sailor. Now, if you want to watch any other lecture or any portrait from the general prologue, you can check out this playlist, this link, and it will take you to the playlist of the general prologue, and there you can watch any lecture that you wish. Now, coming to the portrait of the shipman or the sailor, it is believed that this portrait of the shipman or the sailor is based on the real life character from Chaucer's time. His name was Peter Rashden. He was the master of Dartmouth vessel, and it is believed that this portrait is modeled after that particular sailor. But we believe now, as Geoffrey Chaucer has told us earlier, that these are the pilgrims who are there in the Tabard Inn. There is one of the sailors also who is on his way to make the pilgrimage to the Canterbury, and he has also supposedly fallen in the fellowship of these 29 people who are there in the Tabard, and the poet or the narrator or the Geoffrey Chaucer has also observed him. And let's see that how did the shipman appear to Geoffrey Chaucer in the Tabard Inn going on a pilgrimage to the Canterbury. There was a sailor living far out west, for aught I know he was of Dartmouth town. There with us was a sailor. He lived in far west. So far as I know, so far as I guess, I think he was from Dartmouth town. Now, this is the name of the place from where this sailor comes, this shipman comes, or he belongs. He sadly rode a hackney in a gown of thick rough cloth falling to the knee. Now, there is one thing that you would observe, and that is the problem in the rhyming of this particular portrait. For example, the first one ended with west and then it was town. So, first word is not rhyming with anything. The second verse rhymed with the third, and then we have, the fourth and fifth rhyming. So, there can be slight problem with this. He badly rode his hackney. Hackney is, a vehicle which is being run by the horses. So he does not ride a horse, but he rides a horse cart, for that matter, a vehicle which is being run or dragged by the horses. So he even rode that very badly. His hackney, he rode that very badly. In a gown of thick rough cloth falling to the knee. So he has gown clothing which is not very good, which is not as stylish perhaps as those of the tradesmen, or that of the merchant, or that of the monk, or that of the friar, or that of the man of law, or that of the franklin. No, he is wearing a thick rough kind of clothes, and reason perhaps why he is wearing these rough and tough and thick kind of clothes is because he's a sailor, and mostly he would be sailing the sea on the boat, and he would be encountering the cold and chilly winds time and again. So he needs those rough and thick kind of clothes to protect himself from harsh winds or cold winds. A dagger hanging on a cord had he. He also had a dagger. Now, this dagger was precautionary, since, as we have seen, perhaps most of the people in the Canterbury Tales are carrying this dagger, and this dagger was perhaps required for too many persons in feudal society or in the times of Geoffrey Chaucer, because you weren't having that much of a security around. Even today we don't have much, but still we don't carry these tools with us, these weapons with us. But back in those days, most of the people would carry. For example, you will have wife of the bath carrying this dagger, and even all the people who are related to church yeomen, for that matter, has a dagger with him. So this guy also has a dagger with him, and he has to have the dagger with him because in those days, those people who were traveling by the sea or through the boats or ships, it was said that sea routes were not those secure or that secure in those days. So people have to be ready to defend themselves. So this sailor also had a dagger, perhaps to defend himself. About his neck and underarm and down, the summer's heat had burned his visage brown. So he has a dagger down his neck, under his arm, perhaps he has quite a number of daggers with him. And also we are told that his face, visage means face, is burned by the sun. Now this is again, related to the environment. Those people who usually deal with the sea or remain in the sea or on the boat, perhaps in Chaucer times, there is high chance that they have much of the sun burning than perhaps is the normal. So there are few people who have sunburned face. One was yeoman and the other is the shipman. And certainly he was a good fellow, full many a draught of wine he had drawn, I trow. Certainly he was a good fellow. Now this certainly he was a good fellow, the phrase, the sentence that he has written earlier, he has written this for quite a few characters. If you remember, he uses this kind of language for prioress, he uses this kind of language for monk. And when he used this kind of phrase or language, certainly she had a beautiful face, he said about the prioress, and certainly he was, a good monk. Perhaps he said something like this about the monk, considering him a good bishop. And he also said so about the friar. So when he is talking in this manner, you must understand that he is ironical or satirical in tone. He is not saying good thing about. He is not going to say good thing about him. So he said that he was certainly a good fellow. Why was he good fellow? What did he do? In the next verse he says, full many a draught of wine he had drawn, I trow. Because he was a thief. And what he would do, he would steal the wine, the bottles of the wine, and I can throw on this. I can, swear on this. I am pretty sure about it that he did steal the wine of Bordeaux's vintage while the trader slept. Nice conscience was a thing he never kept. When did he steal the wine? And of this, there is the name of the brand that he is taking here. Bordeaux Vintage is the name of the brand, perhaps the name of the brand of the wine. So he would steal that when the master would sleep, or the owner of that wine would sleep. So this shipman would go and steal 1 or 2 bottles and drink it. So he was not a good fellow. He was, for that matter, a thief. No, he did not care about good conscience. Now this conscience is about a person hurting his ego. There is something called conscience or super ego in Freudian terms, who says that a person when he grows up is very much aware about his ego, is very much aware about his dignity or respect. This shipman doesn't say, because when you go for stealing, you fear if you are caught, that would be troubling for you. But for shipman, it was not like that. He would not keep that nice conscience at all. If that he fought and got the upper hand, by water he sent them home to every land. Now when he was sailing, when he was on board, and since in those days there was those pirates who would attack the ships and the boats, and if ever he had a fight with those pirates, and if he had upper hand, if he won in that fight, what he would do, he would throw those thieves or those pirates into the sea and send them to their homes. By how? By throwing them overboard, by throwing them into the sea. So that was another trait that this shipman had. But as for craft, to reckon well his tides, his currents, and the dangerous water sides. Now let me tell you about his craft, about his ability as a sailor. So he uses the words like water sides, the words like currents, the words like tides, because mostly this guy would be on the sea, and these things are related to the sea. So he would tell us that how good he was at judging the tides, at judging the currents, at judging the water sides. Let's come to that and tell you few things about his craft, how good he was in his duties as a shipman, as a sailor. His harbors and his moon, his pilotage, now everything, his harbors where he would stop his shipman, and how good he was a captain for that ship, or a sailor of his ship, a master of his ship. All these things I'll tell you slightly about that. There was none such from Hull to Far Carthage, there was none far off. This now Carthage, Hull of Carthage, is basically a reference to Cartagena in the southeast of France. So this is the name of the place. So he tells you that from England to France, there was no person who was as good a sailor as is this shipman, as is this sailor. Hardy and wise in all things undertaken. He was hardy, he was hardworking, and he was wise in his efforts or in his things taken. Say for example, the shipman, as a shipman, he told us earlier that I would tell you about him. So he was very hardworking, he was very wise, and there was no one in whole England and in France who was as good a shipman, as good a sailor as this one. He knew well all the heavens as they were, from Gotland to the Cape of Finisterre. He knew all places very well. Now heavens is basically a place, which is safe for the animals. Now since he would take the routes, the sea routes forever, he would sail, he would mostly spend his time on the sea. So he knew many places. From where? From Gotland to the Cape of Finisterre. Now this Gotland and Cape of Finisterre are two places again in Spain. One is in north and the other is in south. Now he tells you about the distance. Now this distance tells you that he knows a lot of things. He knows a lot of areas. So he is the most traveled man perhaps amongst those 29 people who are there in the Tabard Hill going for the pilgrimage to the Canterbury. And every creek in Brittany and Spain, his vessel had been christened Madeleine. Now this Brittany is again a cultural place in the west of France, and Spain is in Spain, and he says that he knew every creek, every passage, every sea passage in England, in France, in Spain, and his ship was named as Madeleine, was christened as Madeleine. His vessel means his ship, his boat, which he would sail, was called as Madeleine. Now that was the portrait of the shipman or of the sailor. Now again, if you take a look at his portrait, you will find out that Geoffrey Chaucer is slightly ironical in this portrait. He tells you that he is a thief, but he is a strong warrior also. He fights against the pirates. So this suggests that in the Chaucer's times, the sea routes were not safe at all. So the shipman or the sailor has to be a good warrior also. And what this warrior would do, if he got upper hand in the fight with the pirates, he would throw them into the sea. And another thing that he told us was that he knew almost all the routes and all the places. He had visited quite a number of places. Perhaps this is the third character after that of Geoffrey Chaucer, after that of the knight and the squire, about which Geoffrey Chaucer tells us that he has visited quite a number of places. Knight had visited many places, squire has visited few places, and now it is the shipman who is a seasoned sailor who has been to a number of places. Now that was the portrait of the shipman. That is all we have at your academy for today. We dealt with the portrait of the shipman. You can continue watching the lectures on the general prologue, and you can click here to watch the lecture on the physician, and you can click on this end screen. It will take you to the playlist section of the general prologue, and you can click here to subscribe your academy. That is all we have at Your Academy. Don't forget to share, like, comment and subscribe at Your Academy. For more interesting stuff, keep watching Your Academy.